Hey everybody, welcome to Topstep Traders Funded Trader Sit Down. Today we're sitting with one of our FX traders, Aaron. Aaron, it's been a hell of a couple weeks here. You're pulling out close to 10 grand in this account. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. So I got to ask you before we dive into this, how has your trading gone throughout this interesting 3.5 months, or 2020 in general has been?
Well, it's been great. I mean, since I've been with TopstepFX, and now I'm just starting to venture into Topstep Trader on that side of things. It's been good. It's been great. You know, it's really forced me to hone in on my skills, on my risk management, definitely, and just hone in on my edge in the market.
Absolutely. It's funny. I talk with a lot of traders, and that seems to be the common theme when all of a sudden things start to click. The first thing they say, it's not my strategy's just been firing on all cylinders. It's I started to focus on that risk management. And I
Yeah.
think that's when this transition starts to happen, where we go from kind of stumbling in our trading to actually taking real money out of our accounts. So on the FX side, what are some of the products or what are some of the pairs that you've been trading?
I love the Euro US dollar. I like that's my thing. It's like that's just the creme de la creme of all trading in general. Uh,
It's been a fun product to watch lately. It's traded off of some really nice levels. It's created some great opportunity.
right, and I like to trade off of supply and demand. So
Okay.
I'm huge. I do a lot with supply demand and examining the markets and support and resistance. More so supply and demand zone type of trading, as opposed
Okay.
to trying to find out where the orders are sitting, as opposed to just one single one single line. I use that. I use weekly time frames and daily time. I use the larger time frames. So,
I think that's huge. I like what you said there too. When you look at these markets, having a zone, I think a lot of traders, they look at it and they have one specific price point they're looking for action at. And if you
right,
can open that up a little bit, these markets, if I had a rubber band, I'd use it as an example. I always call markets, they're like a rubber band. Some of them are going to move through that level that you're looking at. And if you have a zone, it allows you to accept the elasticity of the market before it comes back.
right, exactly. And price is more likely to revisit those zones and really, you know, get away and absorb the market. So it'll come back to that. If those orders weren't filled, it'll come back to that point, and it'll either do one or two things. It'll continue in a direction that it's going, or it'll reverse. Um, a rule of thumb is I like to wait and see how price reacts coming out of the zone, whether it's to the top side or to the downside, before I jump into the market.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this. When you're hopping into these trades, first thought, you're thinking about risk. How do you manage your risk in these trades?
Um, I like to go off of. Sometimes I go off of percentages, percentage of what I have in total, my total investment versus what I have in the market at the time. And I also like to look at the pullbacks. I like looking at candles with really long wicks and stuff like that, because that shows a heavy sign of rejection.
Absolutely. I like that. Um, so as you're entering into these trades, what are some of the big factors you're looking for to say, look, I really want to be long here. I want to be short. What are some of those major factors that is going to kind of convince you to pull that trigger?
One thing I like to use, another thing I like to use is trend lines. So they say the trend is your friend, and it's true. You look at the larger time frames. I know people like to trade the 5 minute and the 15 minute, but you look at something like the 4 hour or the 8 hour or higher, then you really start to get a bigger picture, a clearer picture of the direction of the markets.
Absolutely. I can't agree more. Higher time frame dictates direction of these markets. My
Right.
go-to chart is a 4-hour chart. I think it is the best chart to be looking
I
at
love the
least for
4 hour.
myself, but I'm glad we're on the same page here.
Yeah, I
um,
definitely like the 4 hour.
so I know you're working, you're a busy guy. How are you finding time to balance work and trading?
Well, the forex with the forex market and with the oil markets, the oil markets, they only take an hour break and then they get right back to it. So it's like a 23-hour market.
Mm-hmm.
The foreign exchange market is a 24-hour market, so it's 5 days a week. So I like to know. I know exactly when, like, the European markets open at 3 a.m. in the morning. So sometimes I'm up at 3 a.m. in the morning. You know, it is what it is.
Right.
You have to do what you have to do, and sometimes you have to be up at a certain time because markets are all about timing. It's all about timing. And so sometimes I'm up at 3 in the morning. I'll check the markets, and then I'll go back to sleep. And then during the day, I'll look periodically, and depending on what time frame I'm using, I'll look every 4 hours, or I'll look every 8 hours, or I'll look every 1 hour. It depends on what time frame I'm using. But I know
Absolutely.
that the European markets and the New York markets overlap, and that's the best time to trade.
Okay, so you're able to make time to do that.
Yes.
That's nice. And you said sometimes you wake up at 3 a.m. How many days this week did you wake up at 3 a.m. to check the markets?
Every day.
Right? We start to develop this obsession with the markets. We can't step away.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. It's on my phone. It's everywhere I go. Even if I'm not trading, I'm watching every move.
Right. Because, you have to think, like, if I was to live over in Los Angeles somewhere, you're sleeping, but New York is already awake 3
Right.
hours before you think about getting up.
You're in Philadelphia, correct?
I'm in Philadelphia, yeah.
Okay. Is there a big trader presence there?
Not that I can see, but I'm pretty sure that there is. I know I get a lot of, I tell people, what I do, and I get a lot of feedback in terms of how do you do that? Or, they're very interested. So I know New York has a large, because it's New York.
Right.
I'm assuming Philly does too, because, people trade all over. Wall Street isn't just Wall Street. Wall Street is everywhere now.
Exactly. It's everywhere now. It's at our fingertips. So let me ask you this. How'd you get started? What got you into trading?
Well, years ago, I saw a commercial for Forex trading, and I was like, I wanted to get started. So I opened up a practice account, and I started learning and teaching myself in YouTube and Google, and I still do it to this day. I YouTube, I Google everything. I read a lot. You can never not know enough. So there's always room for improvement. There's always room to grow. So I'm constantly, going online and trying to figure out what else new I can learn. And because learning is every day in the markets, you
It
never
is
know too much.
right. Every day is a new day. We're constantly learning something. John Hoagland here at Topstep always says, he's like, I've been at this for close to 40 years, yet every day I'm still learning something new. The more we can read, the better understanding we're going to have of these markets. So I have a question I like to ask everyone I talk to. We get into trading because we love it. We're passionate about it, but money's kind of nice. It's a nice addition to what trading brings. I like to ask the wildest, craziest dream that trading can provide for you. What would that be?
A lot. To be able to work, literally, to be able to work for myself, that'll free up a lot of time, because when I'm at work 10 and a half hours a day, it's a lot on you. And then you're working 6 days a week. Like, I work 6 days a week.
Oh, wow.
So,
And you find time to trade.
and I find time to trade because it's a passion of mine, and it has been for a long time. And I just constantly, beat away at it and beat on my craft, and it's paying off. But the craziest thing is, I'll be able to open up some businesses, and maybe start a fundraiser and a foundation.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So, and travel the world, because I love to travel. I don't get to travel often. Sometimes I like to travel 3 times a year at least.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been traveling often lately. So with that free time, I'll be able to do that along with that
Right.
capital.
and then you can trade anywhere in the world, as they say.
Right.
All
On the
right,
beach.
so I got two last questions for you. One, you've been funded a few times before. What changed from the first funded account to where you are now?
I would say the biggest thing is risk management, knowing the proper contract sizes to use based on the total account size.
Absolutely.
So even though, you know, you can use a certain, your account size is rated for a certain amount of contracts, doesn't necessarily mean you have to go and trade all the contracts. You
Right.
can, you can
Especially
do a fraction of that.
especially in Forex, you don't even have to trade a full standard. You can bring
Right.
it down a little bit smaller, understand your positioning a little bit. Maybe if it starts running in your favor, then you can start to grow that balance a little, or grow that contract size a little bit. It's a nice.
Right.
I think that's one of the biggest lessons a lot of traders struggle with when they get into this. They see you can trade 10 contracts. Well, why wouldn't I trade all 10 contracts?
Right.
Common sense says if I'm going to be right, let's make as much money as possible. But as they say, when it's going in your favor, you never got enough on. When it goes against you, you've always got too many on.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right, my last question for you, and then I'll let you get out of here. There's a lot of traders going through the trading combine. You know, I know it's not the easiest thing in the world. What do you have to say to someone that's kind of working their way through it, maybe struggling a little bit?
As a person who's been through a lot of struggles over the past like decade, um, I pretty much failed my way to success. So if I could say one thing to all the traders out there is that you're going to fail and you're going to fail a lot, but just keep going because you just figured out another way how not to do it. So you fail your way to success. Basically, that's what you're doing. So now you're 10 years in, you're starting to make money. Now you know 1,000 ways how not to do it.
That I've asked that question to a lot of people. That was one of my favorite responses. I've always looked at trading. You only failed if you quit, because
Right.
there's a lot of hurdles we have to over. This is not an easy business, as they
No,
say.
it's one of the
Something like
hardest.
90% of people fail. It is one of the hardest. I think they say it's the easiest and hardest way to make a buck. Um, and that's exactly what it is. It's constantly learning each step you take. All right, I learned what not to do here. Make note of it. Don't make that mistake again. I used to work for my dad, and he used to tell me all the time, every loss or every lesson learned, you're just paying the market to learn something new. Now, don't pay the market to learn that again.
Exactly.
Outstanding.
Every time I fail, even now, I say, okay, I failed. This is an opportunity to learn. So what did I do wrong? What happened in the market?